So here we are, Season 2, Episode 3, Batgirl Magic. Oh my god. So you remember a few weeks ago when Twitter messed up and still said on the official Batwoman website that Kate Kane was Batwoman still? Well, Spectrum Cable did that last night. As I hit info, it said Kate Kane seeks justice for Gotham City as Batwoman. We join a couple in a hotel room. Room service shows up, and of course, it's Victor Zsasz, one of our antagonists for this episode. He kills a philandering husband, his mistress, very gleefully, I might add, and we see him perform his ritualistic self-mutilation after he offs the couple. Zsasz laughs because he's almost out of places to put cuts after all the contracts he's completed. We meet a couple white guys in an alley. One's a junkie, one's a drug dealer looking to score some snake bite, which is Gotham's new drug of choice. And Ryan enters by knocking the vial out of said junkie's hand.
Because that's what heroes do.
And proceeds to fire the batarang after batarang at our dope dealer, missing a few, then sticks one in his leg, walks away, he shoots her in the back, and she proceeds to beat the shit out of him, of course, and then leaves because she hears a beeping noise. So Ryan gets to a parole officer about 12 seconds before she had her parole revoked. Susan informs her that's her parole officer. So Ryan, victim count is at number 1 for the episode because she almost had her parole revoked. Then Susan says, so I guess this means you have a day job. And Ryan doesn't know how to respond, and she almost does a Jim Halpert look into the camera. Cut to an establishing shot of Gotham, and our annoying narrator, Vesper Fairchild, aka Matthew Perry, says, dumb question. Did we get a new Batwoman? After seeing a picture of Ryan at the Batwoman rally, and then says, even dumber question. Is she black? Don't get me wrong, I'm all about the representation in G-Town, but did I miss something? Talk to me, Gotham. Mary is at her super secret underground hidden clinic that everyone mysteriously knows the fucking location of, and she's seeing a patient who's obviously suffering cancer. Wait a fucking minute. So in addition to being a super secret underground clinic that everyone knows the location of, but nobody's supposed to know the location of, now she's treating cancer patients. So Ryan just barges in and interrupts Mary in mid-sentence. Ryan's PO calls Mary and asks if she just hired a bartender at the Hold-Up, or whatever Kate's named her alphabet club. Ha! Gay! Mary says yes, as Ryan pleads with her for the job. Mary asks, since when can parolees work at a bar? And Ryan says, well, she made an exception because she can't get a job anywhere else. This brings the Ryan victim count meter to 2 this episode. We join poor Dougray Scott, Jacob Kane, as he's briefing his crows about snakebite, and he says he's not letting it get a foothold in his city. So now Gotham is owned by a privately contracted security force that routinely has its agents killed as if they're stormtrooper-esque fodder. Speaking of the crows, how much is this contract with them for Gotham? And how much can Gotham City afford to pay the crows and fund the GCPD concurrently? Anyway, a crow comes in and gives Jacob a cell phone, which is inexplicably undamaged from the crash. Yes, that's right, the plane crash that Kate was supposedly in. Jacob doesn't know how to unlock it, as it's password protected, and he says that Agent Moore, Sophie, may know the password. And to think, Dougray Scott could have been Wolverine. Cut to Alice on a beach, and Sophie wakes up next to her with 2 Jesus-looking guys in strange attire kind of watching over them. Alice is explaining that they're on Sophia Island. Alice plans to kill Sophia. Sophia sends Tatiana to watch over Sophie, while the hippie henchmen take Alice to the Queen. We rejoin our boy, Victor Zsasz, as he just walks into Hamilton Industries, kills a guy in a crowded lobby, and enters a lab, shoots a scientist in the head after disarming him, because apparently he's so fucking white he's invisible, nobody can see him. So, does anyone want to bet the over-under that Batwoman punches Victor Zsasz's face off or just beats the shit out of him this episode? Anybody? Any takers? And where would an episode of Batwoman be without useless exposition? Because we rejoin the program after a brief commercial break. We find out that Zsasz killed the 2 men in Hamilton Dynamics lab. And how do we learn this? Because we have the same reporter who's been on the last couple episodes giving us our exposition. That's how, because Caroline Dries and the writing staff of Batwoman pretty much know that most of the viewers are fucking morons. Well, those of us who aren't just reviewing the show to shit on it. Luke, Mary, and Ryan are watching the security footage of Zsasz shooting the scientist. Ryan and Mary are going back and forth about Mary being a multi-billionaire. Then Ryan asks, why am I only making $12.50 an hour at the Hold-Up? Ryan is a victim count this episode, comes up to 3. Mary stammers about her pay, and Luke asks when she started working there. Ryan, of course, IDs Zaz and knows he marks himself after a kill because Zaz cut his head, and he treats his scars with a French lotion that translates into a baby's butt or some dumb shit like that.
Ah, fuck you!
Back on Sophia Island, Alice is unchained and face to face with the queen herself. As she sits down to a large spread of food and Sophia and her go back and forth about their history, Sophia says she didn't kill Kate, so she implores that Alice sit and break bread with her.
You're both pieces of shit. Yeah, I can prove it mathematically. Actually, let me grab my whiteboard.
So Ryan casually strolls into Zaz's apartment in the bat suit. He walks in on her, makes a drink while Ryan figures out what weapon to use against him, and he says, "So you're the new girl. Or are you the Sammy Hagar to Kate's David Lee Roth?" And she replies, "You're looking at me trying to figure out which old white guy I am?" Because of course she has no fucking idea who Van Halen is, which Zaz says, "Kids today, no sense of history." He makes fun of her not looking comfortable in the suit, and he says, "You don't look like Batwoman." Then he just pulls out a fucking RPG and fires it out the sliding balcony door as she dives over the edge. What the actual fuck? So you're just telling me that Victor Zaz happens to have a goddamn rocket launcher chilling behind the bar in his apartment, and he fires it off inside nonetheless, and there's literally no damage anywhere inside. I don't think the fucking writers fully understand what one of those would do if discharged in an enclosed area like that. But hey.
Fuck me, right?
Oh, I guess I forgot to tell you what she was doing in Zaz's apartment. Ryan brings the thumb drive that she was after back to Luke and Mary, and they're perusing the list of Zaz's names. And Ryan, all of a sudden, decides to try to get the information from him herself. She goes to meet him at a restaurant. They have a discussion about lesbian drama.
The lesbian!
And Ryan asks if he's for hire, placing a bag of money on the table, which she undoubtedly got from Mary because we know Ryan's fucking broke and living in a van down by the river, and contracts him to kill Alice. He refuses the offer, and Luke placed a MacGuffin called a sniffer. No, not that kind of sniffer. It lifted his cell phone data, and Luke tells Ryan that Zaz's client is Sophia. Meanwhile, back on Fantasy Island,
Welcome, Fantasy Island.
Sophia is telling Alice that she didn't want to kill Kate because she doesn't want attention drawn to her island because of the desert rose plant, yada yada yada, some dumb bullshit. Sophie is in chains at a private bonfire with Tatiana, explaining why Sophia hasn't killed Alice yet, and Tatiana tells her that Alice took a desert rose flower with her when she left the island, which is apparently a big no-no. And then there's a colonizer comment made, and Alice alludes who gave the secret to the desert rose away. Mary and Luke are having feelings in the Batcave, arguing about Ryan not being Batwoman, and Mary says that Kate isn't coming back, regardless of how much Luke thinks she is. And you know what I was thinking while this scene was going on? This episode is missing feelings. We haven't had enough Batcave feelings yet, so why not? Why not have some Batcave feelings? And then we get another scene, Ryan staring at the Batsuit, and she decides to make some alterations to it because all of a sudden, a homeless karate instructor, plant talking to person that lives in a van down by the river knows how to alter a fucking Batsuit. Mary's assistant brings her in the chart from the lady she was treating earlier. I believe her name was Roxanne. And she's magically cured her cancer because the Desert Rose treatment, which was given to her by Alice, can cure cancer. I mean, like it's completely gone. And all of a sudden, we see Mary's assistant slammed up against the glass with a bloody face, and, you know, she's been killed by Zaz. Mary hits Zaz with a clipboard and runs away. Ryan is going to save Mary. She tells Luke she's altered the suit. Don't kill me. Luke says it's not yours. It's perfect. She responds with, have you seen the damn wig?
But the suit is perfect.
Have you seen the damn wig?
Meanwhile, back on Lesbian Island, Tatiana is sharpening her sword, and Sophie tries to use some cop psychology on her. Tatiana says Alice must be allowed to remain free upon returning to Gotham. Sophie says no, and we get a lesbian fight. You know what that means. I've got it queued up already.
The lesbian!
Back in Gotham, try to suspend your disbelief because Ryan is going to go toe-to-toe with Zaz. He gets her pinned, and she just knocks him out by discharging her baton and flees, leaving unconscious Zaz and Mary in the alley.
You serious?
Sophia is still talking to Alice. She's insistent that she didn't kill Kate, blah, blah, blah. feelings on the island. Then Alice and Sophia have what's definitely a lesbian fight. I'm not going to play the clip this time. And then Sophia shows Alice that she has Kate's necklace. She did not kill her. This show is narratively a fucking mess. On one hand, they want to virtue signal by having the new black lesbian female lead actress. Yet, the story still insists that Kate is still somehow involved in the show because Sophia promised Alice she'd get Kate back for her. So you're telling me that they won't just kill off Kate because they won't kill a gay character, even though Ruby Rose is never coming back to this show. Caroline Dries is a complete fucking hack. This show is a perfect example of why no one takes the CW Arrowverse seriously. The story is second fiddle to the representation and social justice narrative, which ultimately kills any chance you have at a coherent plot, story, or show. It's fucking garbage. Sophie is on the beach talking with Tatiana. Tatiana's kind of questioning her, and they get into a fight, and I don't know why those two just don't fucking scissor already.
Oh, we're scissoring. Oh, yeah, scissor.
I swear, living in Batwoman world, it's like 99.999% of women are lesbians in Gotham. Meanwhile, back in Gotham, our radio host Matthew Perry is raving about Batwoman taking down Victor Zsasz and her new hairdo on the suit because she's unbelievable. We catch up with Ryan in her PO's office, and Susan is raving about the new Batwoman. And Ryan is looking at the newspaper on the PO's desk, and the headline reads, Batgirl Magic. Sophie and Alice wake up cuddling in an alley in Gotham, and Alice decides to just grab Sophie's tit. So I guess Alice is a lesbian now too, so you know what that means.
The lesbian!
The two act like people who had an extremely awkward drunken hookup the night before as they gather their wits about them because Sophia drugged them both. Before returning them, Alice tells Sophie that she's still alive because Sophia has a crush on her. Alice tells Sophie that Kate is alive as well. So, more lesbians. I mean, can you ever have too many lesbians though? Especially Alice. Rachel Scarson's fucking hot. Luke goes to meet up with Ryan at the holdup, and he finally warms up as he presents her with a gift. New batarangs, because she threw away 4 of them at $1,000 a piece, costing him $4,000, so he gave her new ones. And he just gives them to her in the open at the bar that she works at, the holdup, the lesbian bar. And he apologizes to her because he's a cuck, and Ryan says that he needs to give her a chance. Mary and Luke, of course, have feelings as she mourns Kate, and would they just hook these two up already? But they're probably going to turn Mary into a lesbian too, because I think it's a prerequisite for every woman on the show to be a fucking lesbian. Two Crow agents are discussing a criminal that'll come into play later. It's going to be Black Mask, spoiler alert. Sophie goes in to meet with Jacob Kane, and he asks her about why Kate was looking into a painting by Jack Napier, and it said Sophia with question marks on it, and Sophie tells him that Kate is still alive. Da-na-na, da-na-na, da. And that's the end of the fucking episode, mercifully, thank God. That's where we leave off the episode. We won't have to do another one of these until after the Super Bowl. Holy shit, this episode was all over the place, and this is why. Now, I'm going to approach this next point that I make as if this is a real show with real writers and real actors. If this show ever wants to be taken seriously, they need to dump the whole Kate is coming back angle. It needs to end, and quickly. You've cast a new lead actress, yet the specter of the previous lead looms over the entire show like a bad hangover the day after an epic bender. I'll admit that Javicia Leslie can outact Ruby Rose, especially in the emoting department. She's physically superior to Ruby Rose in every way. She is far and away better than Rose in all aspects. Now, with all that being said, the goddamn writing ruins any chance this show has of being taken seriously by anyone, anywhere, anytime who's not a fucking blue-haired, purple checkmark weirdo or intersectional feminist or a lesbian, because every woman in the show is a fucking lesbian for some reason. The episode did Victor Zsasz dirty. It really did. Just like Birds of Prey last year. And this is the same guy that played Victor Zsasz in the Gotham show. This is a complete fucking joke. I hate this show with a passion that burns brighter than the twin suns on Tatooine, but I will continue to suffer for you, my subscribers, because you will it, and it will be done. So, with that being said, episode 4 airs on Valentine's Day, so you people better fucking love me. I'm Itapakuya, the place to be reviews. I've been here with all the yous, and remember, if I don't see ya, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow.